Good morning everyone. As we have studied the important rulers of the Mughal Empire, today we will study about Mughal traditions of succession, how the Mughal rulers are inheriting their power. We know that after most of the rulers earlier followed that after the death of the king, his eldest son becomes the ruler. That was the tradition most of the regions kings and followed in the kingdoms. Now the Mughals did not believe in the rule of the primogeniture. Primogeniture, that means the eldest son inherits the father's estate or the father's kingdom. Primogeniture is the term used here. That is what eldest son becomes the ruler after the death of his father. But Mughals did not believe this case and they did not follow this way of traditions. Instead of that, they followed the Mughal and the Timurid custom. Mughal and Timurid custom. Timur, we know that they belonged to the Mughal rulers who belonged to the father's side and mother's side, Genghis Khan and Timur. So they wanted to know, ask the ancestors of their ancestors are the Timurids. Okay, Timur's family. Okay, so here Timurids custom or tradition, which was known as copercenary inheritance. Copercenary inheritance instead of primogeniture. Primogeniture is the following: after the death of the king, the eldest son of the king becomes the ruler. But here Timurid custom was copercenary. Okay, copercenary was inheritance. That means dividing the large empire or kingdom amongst all the sons. If suppose the king has 4 or 5 sons and the kingdom will be divided into 4 or 5 provinces, and each son will or each prince will get the the province. Okay, so that this was the way the Mughal rulers in India followed. They did not follow the primogeniture. Instead of that, copercenary inheritance they followed. So how we can also find that during that period Mughals fought against the Rajputs. Also Rajputs were ready to make peace with the Mughal rulers, so that many of the Rajput rulers gave their daughters to the Mughal emperors in marriage also. We can find some of the example. The mother of Jahangir, she was a Kachwaha princess, daughter of the Rajput ruler of Amber. In modern day it is in Jaipur. Amber is Jaipur. So the Kachwaha princess, daughter of the Rajput ruler Amber, was married to the Mughal ruler. Also the mother of Shah Jahan was a Rathod princess, daughter of the Rajput ruler of Marwar, the present day Jodhpur. That means the Rajputs made peace or matrimonial alliances with the Mughals also. Mughal rulers, even though they were Muslim rulers, they even married the Hindu princess of Rajputs also. Now, how was the Mughal relation with the other rulers? We know that they maintained very good relations with the Rajputs especially. The Mughal rulers campaigned constantly against the rulers who refused to accept their authority. So, who are refusing to accept authority? Mughal rulers continuously sent military campaigns. So, as the Mughals became very powerful, many other rulers have joined them voluntarily. When Mughal rulers are becoming powerful, other smaller kingdoms and rulers joined with them voluntarily, and they accepted the supremacy of the Mughals here, and they became the subordinates under the Mughal emperor or Mughal rule. The Rajputs are a good example. We can say that many of them married their daughters into Mughal families and received high positions. We know that many of the Rajput rulers married their daughters to the Mughal families. Those who made matrimonial alliances with the Mughal families all got higher positions in the administration. Okay, they all got to become higher officers these families also became officers in the Mughal administration. But not all Rajputs, some of them resisted also. We can find out the Shishodhya Rajputs of Mewar refused to accept the Mughal authority for a long time. Shishodhya Rajputs of Mewar were not ready to accept the supremacy of Mughals. They resisted for a long time. Once defeated, however, they were honorably treated by the Mughals, given their lands back as assignments also. Now, whenever we know that the important fact, we should know that the Mughal rulers, whenever they defeated the Rajputs, Mughal rulers treated them with respect and honor also. So, whenever they captured, Mughal rulers captured the Rajput territory, they gave back their lands which were known as Vatan. Okay, the lands were given back to the Rajput rulers as the assignments or Vatan Jagir, that is what called given back to them. So this careful balance between the defeating but not humiliating their opponents enabled the Mughals to expand their or extend their influence over many kings and chieftains. See, whenever we know that when any ruler capture other territories, they also capture the people or the soldiers as the slaves also and imprison them. But here the Mughal rulers who captured the Rajput territories also treated them with respect and not humiliating or not hurting or not insulting them, so that the Mughals were able to capture or extend their territories in large parts of India. So, but it was difficult to keep such a balance always. We know that it was very large empire. Mughal empire became very large, so that always it was not possible to maintain such kind of balance between these smaller territories. Sometimes we can find the smaller kingdoms who even accepted their Mughal supremacy, they revolted against. In case we can find that Aurangzeb's period, he insulted Shivaji Maharaj of the Maratha ruler when he came to accept Mughal authority. So in case of this comes in case of Aurangzeb's period, the other Mughal rulers were very treated the subordinates with respect. But Aurangzeb's period, we come to know that Shivaji was ready to accept the superiority or the Mughal authority, and he came to meet Aurangzeb, but Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji. So, but Shivaji escaped from Agra and he continued his revolt against the Mughal rule. So in the coming class we will study about the Mansabdas and Jagirdas, that are the administrative system of the Mughals.